Steven Crowder provided some really pathetic reasons why he doesn't support policies like universal basic income and just entitlements in general. Take a look at this video.
And it's for the same simple concept, by the way, that mandated entitlements destroy a nation. Let's take the concept of universal income. I had to think about, why do I hate this so much? It's predicated on the idea that you deserve the right to a basic universal income regardless of work or ability. Sounds good. But how does it work? It only works by the grace of others. By the grace of others who did the work and who had their spoils taken from them at gunpoint. Nothing that you think you deserve, when you trace it back far enough, can stem from anything other than the grace of someone else. And this brings me back to my first point. Just as I think entitlement robs people of their spirit, of their soul, your own mindset of entitlement, of what you deserve, robs you of truly living a fulfilling life.
That was the worst argument I've ever seen when it comes to universal basic income and just entitlements in general. That was just absolutely terrible. So his argument is this: you don't deserve it, therefore we should not advocate that you get it. So let me ask you, Steven Crowder, do you deserve police officers and firefighters and the military? Do you deserve those things? Do you deserve border security? I mean, by your logic, they're entitlements, right? So by his logic, you don't deserve those things. And so therefore, you should advocate that we don't get them. That's his line of reasoning, guys. It's really hidden. The devil's in the details. You have to really understand his argument. His argument is, you don't deserve them, therefore, we should advocate that you don't get those entitlements. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, he is advocating for anarcho-capitalism. This guy is the craziest libertarian I've ever heard. And I highly doubt that he doesn't like our military, that he doesn't like the police force. Because if he does, then I would just flip the right line of reasoning on him. Okay, you like the police force. Do you deserve the police force? And like, he has this like 7-minute rant before this video that I showed you guys. I really encourage you guys to watch the whole thing because it's all garbage. But you get to see the whole picture. He talks about how in general, we don't deserve anything. Like, we've done terrible things. And granted, I might be able to accept that predicate here, that maybe we don't deserve social justice in general. But just because we don't deserve social justice doesn't mean that we should advocate against social justice. So by that same line of reasoning, we should have advocated against Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was advocating for something that black people didn't deserve. That's by his line of reasoning, black people don't deserve anything. They deserve terrible things. Everyone deserves terrible things. And so we should advocate against Martin Luther King Jr. because he's, advocating for social justice because we don't deserve social justice. That's a stupid freaking line of reasoning. Now, understand this. Do we deserve social justice? That's a philosophical argument that I think we can have. That's a fair philosophical argument. Do we deserve social justice? I would say maybe. I don't really know. It's a really tough question to answer. But is social justice better than the lack of social justice? Yes. Like, consider even Child Protective Services or DCS. Should we have people taking children from parents who are physically raping their children? Yeah, I am in favor of that. But by Steven Crowder's line of reasoning, what he's basically saying is we should advocate against that because we don't deserve it. I mean, we don't deserve it. Those kids don't deserve it. And he goes on this 7-minute thing as well, where he talks about how he's a Christian and how his whole philosophy, his whole theology is under the premise that we deserve the worst of the worst. Like, okay, so you don't support DCS and CPS and the police officers and firefighters and are you serious? This guy is full of crap. And this is what I hate about libertarians in general. And understand, I'm putting quotes around that because I don't want to actually offend true libertarians here. People who pretend to be libertarian, like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, for example, this guy is absolutely not a libertarian. People who advocate for limited government, they'll say, I don't support raising taxes on the rich, but I support taxes, which, you know, you can then ask the question, okay, so why is it not libertarian to pick a certain percentage tax? Because if you're a true libertarian, if you wanted limited government, you would not tax at all. And if you ask these people, do you support taxes? The answer is in general, yes. And if their answer is no, then you say, okay, well, then you don't support a government. The concept, in my view, the concept of limited government is an incredibly challenging political theory to even understand as feasible. Because limited government presupposes that, you know, you're not really collecting much taxes. And then the question becomes, do you collect taxes? Well, limited government. The answer, I guess, is kind of yes. How do you collect those taxes? How do you do it in a way that's libertarian? How do you try to get limited government? I don't see much distinction between libertarianism and anarcho-capitalism. There's very little distinction in my view. And maybe that's because I'm naive about it, but I'm certain that Steven Crowder is absolutely not a libertarian. This guy is a giant hypocrite.